こんにちは。俺は大丈夫です。そして、これは青に住むか by Tastuya Kitani. Before before we even start that intro, good stuff. Ineo. どこまでも続くような季節は憂鬱ならぶ間のこ前を遮るものは何もないアスファルト背にシュクルを反射して君という沈黙が聞こえなくなるこの日々が色あせる僕たちが君の声を知ってしまっても置き忘れてきての先に Beautiful. This song was used as the opening for JJK Hidden Inventory arc, which was season 2. So if you haven't watched Jujutsu Kaisen, I will give you a bit of context anyway. But the song is translated, well, it's called Ao no Sumika, which is translated to Where Our Blue Is. And in the first verse there, you can see it says, In a season of endless blue. Now, according to Genius, again, I love these people that contribute to Genius. I had no idea about this word. This word is seishun, which directly translates to blue spring, and the word spring obviously refers to youth. So people in the youth, in a season of endless blue, in a season of endless youth. And we have the most fun in our youth. End quotes. And then it says, There's nothing to block the front of my eyes. So for those that have watched JJK, it's referring to obviously Gojo Satoru, the strongest, and how he has got his 6 eyes. His eyes, he doesn't actually have 6 eyes. His eyes are so good that he can see a lot. Like he's got hypersensitive eyes essentially, and usually covers them with shades or blindfolds so that he doesn't strain himself as much. I can relate to this. I don't mean to sell myself not short but long. I don't know if people say that, but I also have hypersensitive eyes. Not the same way he does, obviously, but my eyes are very sensitive to light. Like right now, I wish I was wearing my shades. And that's usually why I wear my shades a lot. People think I'm just trying to look cool. I'm not trying to look cool. They prescribed, okay? So that's probably what that's referring to. Because a lot of people think this song was written for the actual anime. But to be honest, and you see later on, this is kind of like a continuation of Promise Me. I'll show you how, or where exactly. And then the next part says asphalt reflecting the sound of Kakaidas. I should be pronouncing that correctly. I think I am. Yeah, it must be Kakaidas. It must be. Okay, anyway, locusts, right? They're a symbol of summer in Japanese culture. So again, it's referring to the summer bit. And in this part here, Genius didn't catch it, but I did. I hope I'm right. Says your silence, it becomes inaudible. And then it repeats that becomes inaudible. So if someone's silence becomes inaudible, that means that they're so quiet, like their silence is not even existent anymore. And I think this is what he was meaning to say. Okay, if he wrote it for JJK, he was meaning to say that Geto was getting so far away from Gojo that it was like he didn't exist anymore. Now, if we're applying this to real life situations, some people have had best friends that no longer exist. Like they are no longer in touch or whatever, even just friends in general, family members in general. And it gets to the point where their silence becomes inaudible, as in like they don't even exist in your life anymore. You can't even think about them, you can't even remember them or whatever, because that's just how quiet they've become. They're non-existent. I think that's what Tati was saying there. Then the pre-chorus says, even if these days fade away, So obviously he's saying the days of endless blue, the youth, even if these days fade away, even if I've come to know your scent different from mine, in the depths of eternity left behind. It's basically saying that even if the days fade away, I will still be able to remember you. I'll still be able to think about you. Okay. Yeah. So that's what he's referring to there. This is both in terms of actual life and also the JJK show. Then the chorus, which is so beautiful. Even now, blue resides. Even now, blue remains clear. Now, remember how we talked about blue being summer, also blue being youth. It's like spring. So he's saying that despite the separation between him and his friend, the blue still there, like the youth, the happiness is still there. And it says, no matter the prayers or words, though they draw near, they never reach. So now he's referring to the fact that, you know, obviously, if it's a friend or if it's a family member, you will pray for them. But it may even get to that separation may even get to the extent of your prayers not actually getting to them, which would be very crazy because, oh, prayer is powerful. And then it says, it's like a quiet love. So this one is very far fetched. I'm not even going to talk about that one. But then it says, in the summer like colors running down my cheeks. I really like this one. So you know how blue is related to water, right? So obviously the summer like colors, again, blue relating to summer at this point in time, running down my cheeks. It's got to be tears. And then the last part, the words that curse you are stuck in the back of my throat. So again, you know how you you would have a friend, you would have a lover, you would have a family member. You're so tight, you're tight like this, and then things just fall apart. There will obviously be curse words that you'll have, but the fact that you love them so much or that you still care about them means that you can't release those curse words. So that's again what's basically being said. You know, say that despite the differences you might have with that person you used to care about, or that you still care about a lot, but you don't talk anymore. There's no, there's no association anymore. Despite that, those curse words that you have, you can't release them because you still care about that person. Beautiful, beautiful lyrics. And then the post chorus, did I play it just now? I don't know. Did I? I think I did. Yeah, we sung it just now. Will we meet again? A voice that cannot be heard. So, with reference um, to the JJK anime, Gojo is basically apparently this is what Gojo would have said to his best friend. And then with reference to real life, this is a question that you would obviously ask someone, you know, that you feel that you're falling apart with. Like, are we ever going to get back together? Are we ever going to be friends again? Are we ever going to love each other the same way we used to love each other? And then it says a voice that cannot be heard. So this question was asked, but the voice can't be heard, which means that the question was never even heard in the first place because it's honestly a question people don't want to answer or discuss. Right. And then verse 2 is so good. Oh, sorry. I went all the way up there for some reason. Okay. Now this is verse 2. Nani nanamo wakati etazuna sudata ano hikara sugoi shitsu kimi to chiga bok to you no ega foteku. Kimi no nagao no no Miyotoshita kotoki amiskashite. Atapana saite chiteku, kimi mi sayonara. And then the chorus happens again, and it's the same thing, but I'll explain later on. So now going to verse 2. In the muggy season of mid afternoon, the portrait of us who were still nobody, we were supposed to share everything. But since that day, little by little, the curse of me being different from you grows. Okay. We were supposed to share everything. Everything, you know, yeah, we were supposed to have the whole world to ourselves. With reference to JJK, Gojo and Ageto were the strongest sorcerers, and then something drastic happened and the relationship became strained. So then that dream or that aspiration was no longer there, because since that day, since that tragic day, little by little, the curse of me being different from you grows. So in the JJK context, Gojo was a lot stronger than Geto. And that difference kept growing. And then it suddenly became like a hate type of relationship. When change happens, some like obviously there's some people in high school, and it's either you outgrew them or they outgrew you. When those changes happen, that separation starts to occur. And it's not really because you want to separate from them, but it's because the relationship you have is no longer feasible. And that's just the unfortunate thing about life. Sometimes you just outgrow people. And well, sometimes it's a curse, but sometimes it's a blessing. It means you've made progress. It means you've gotten somewhere. And it's unfortunate that at the end of the day, sometimes we just end up losing people that we love. But again, maybe it's necessary. Yeah. So it might be a blessing, might be a curse. In this context, it's a curse. Because unfortunately, what happens in the show is that Geto does some terrible things. He becomes such a terrible person. And the opposite happens to the other person. So same happens in real life. Sometimes you go up and they go down, or sometimes they go up and you go down. But I think at some point you just learn to understand that's how life is. Okay, and then there's the bridge, the la 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 la, the sorrow behind your smile. Obviously, this is a reference. Well, not a reference, but you can refer to Promise Me when it was talking about how people show face. They come to work or they come to school and they act like everything's okay, but not everything's okay. And in this one now, regretting for what I have overlooked. Sometimes we can't tell what's happening. We can't tell that a friend or family member or lover is going through something. We can't tell. And we just overlook it. We just say, oh, they're just emotional. Or it's a bad day. But in reality, there's actually a lot more going on. And, it was what I was talking about and promised me to say that sometimes it's just good to check up on people, you know, even if it's just a small how are you? How are you doing? Like not just how are you, like how are you actually doing? How are you actually, and not just today, like just in general, are you okay? That goes a long way. It's better to do that than to keep those words in your throat. You don't talk, you don't talk, you don't have that conversation, and then the next day you suddenly hear that person's no longer here. Yeah, so it's best not to overlook those minor signs. Just, I'm not saying sweat the small stuff all the time, but there's certain times when you can tell that there's something that's happened, whether it's in the relationship or just in general. And just a simple means of just asking goes a long way. Then says, to you who blooms and scatters like transient flowers, goodbye. I think this is referring to life itself. When you're born, you grow up, you reach your peak, you bloom. And then as you grow older, or as you get older, you become weaker. I mean, you basically scatter like a flower and you're dead. Then it says goodbye. So again, Tatsuya, or in the JJK context, might be talking to the person that they care about. just to say that I understand you're going to grow and then you're going to die. So I understand that separation. Maybe that's why we separated or whatever, but that's how life is. Okay. And then, as I said, the chorus is the same. I'm just gonna play it through. Mugenni boshito suni ga shiratsu yo no nu nashi na kobareta. Beautiful song. Beautiful. That instrumental was amazing. So the post chorus say, well, we did the chorus already. It's the same as the first part, the first time it happened. And the post chorus says, "Will we meet again?" A voice that cannot be heard. Same thing. The outro says, "Like grains of stars in an infinitely expanding galaxy, spilling through the gaps between my fingers." This one I don't understand. I'll be honest. I can't comprehend it. But yeah, this is Where Our Blue Is by Tastuya Kitani. Brilliant song. Great. Lyrics aren't as powerful as Promise Me, but good stuff. Yine.